I want people every single year and every single month that they're with me to make more money, because that's ultimately why we're doing this. And we've got excellent retention. It's almost 92% compared to a lot of other Allstate agents. That's pretty high.
Hey, did you just say 92%?
No.
700 policies a month, 92% retention rate. In today's episode, Courtney and I sit down with the #1 Allstate agent in the country in 2023, Kory Rykman, and we're going to be talking about how his agency continues to have massive success during the current times that we are having in the industry, and the exact formula he uses, the changes that he has made, the people and clients that he is targeting to grow his business. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver. And today we have a very special guest coming on the buzz for the second time. Best in company, #1 Allstate agent in the country, Kory Rykman in the house. What's going on, buddy?
Yeah.
Man, MVP last year. How did that feel?
That was amazing. Definitely the pinnacle of my career so far.
Feels good to win, right?
Yes.
So,
how do you win that award? Before we get into that, let's talk about what criteria go into that.
There's quite a lot that goes into it. So first and foremost, you have to grow your book the most. So whatever your starting point is, and you have to double your growth. For instance, you're competing against all these other agents who are growing really fast, but I outpaced them. Then you got to have amazing retention. You got to bundle the crap out of policies, and life insurance. You got to sell a bunch of life too.
Okay, so was that a goal? Did you guys have this conversation before you went into the year?
No, not at all. Not at all.
It wasn't. That was not a target, and you just wound up hitting it.
Yeah. I didn't even know I was on pace all year long until probably Q4, 3 months till the end of the year. Our field sales manager and leaders were like, hey, you're at the top of the board. You've been at the top of the board pretty much all year. And if you finish out strong, you'll get the spot. I was like, okay. Double that a little bit more at the end just to make sure we won.
Go gangbusters at the end. Okay, yeah. I got to make sure I seal the deal.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if this is just your expectation, this is just your culture to strive for an award that is the best in company.
Always.
And not even know that you're on pace for that. So let's talk a little bit about what are your expectations for your salespeople, your service people. Let's break that down a little bit. What does that look like in your agency day to day?
If I had to put one expectation on it, I want people every single year and every single month that they're with me to make more money. Because that's ultimately why we're doing this, why everybody has a job, is working every day, is to make some money, pay some bills, have some fun. And so I want to do everything in my power to get them there, because it feels good to make sure you're helping provide for other families. It's awesome. And that's the #1 reason.
So with expectations, I got to ask Kory, so do you consistently move up expectations, or the expectations you bring somebody in at, are those just once they hit them, that continues to be the expectation, or what does that look like in your business?
Yeah, they do continually move up, but nothing crazy. First few months for sure, they have lower expectations because insurance in general has quite a long learning curve, in my opinion.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So the first 3-4 months were really lax. People are learning. If you're selling 20, 30 policies a month, we're not beating you up. You're still learning. And then ultimately, our expectation is to have most of our salespeople, because not everybody knows 80-20 rule, but we want the majority of our staff selling over 50 items a month.
Yeah.
And then the following year, and as they stay with us year after year, we bump that up a few items. There have been times where we actually brought it down because R&P's guidelines have changed and it's a tougher environment to sell. So we still want people to make money, continue kind of having the income they had. And Allstate does the same thing for us. They'll change our goals a little bit. They'll make them a lot higher goals if the state's wide open, but if they tighten it up, they give us lower goals, but still give us a way to make the same income. And I do the same for my staff.
How do you know when to adjust that? Is that just based on when your comp plan changes that you change
Yeah,
their comp plan?
it's almost always when my comp plan changes. Yeah.
Okay. So speaking of tough times, the last 2 years has kind of been a shit show in the insurance
Woo,
industry.
baby.
So have you made any pivots within your business that you believe has paid off or that has allowed you to maintain this level of success and excellence in your business?
So insurance has been a little up and down the last couple of years, but on a macro level, at my agency, it's continued to go up. So the only changes I've done is really kind of like what you guys do is I put in management and management training in place. Cause the reason you get into business, the reason I got into business is to ultimately have it run itself at one point.
Mhm.
And that's something I focused heavily on around the middle of last year. We were growing like crazy. The team is growing. The potential to continue growing was there. And I knew I couldn't be the only one managing 20 people. And I wanted to get to 30 people pretty soon and so on and so forth. So I had to put some middle management in place. And so I took 2 of my sales guys. They weren't necessarily the top sellers. One of them was in the top 2 or 3 at all times, but he had business ownership experience. He definitely had the mindset, the mentality, and like the firmness to be a manager. So I instantly picked him. And then another one of my guys has a yin and yang set of skills compared to him. He's more like the Papa Bear. He'll talk to you about feelings and help you learn how to talk to people. So you've got the tough guy and then the Papa Bear, and they became the managers. I think the best thing I did was hired a consulting company, just like you guys do, to turn them into killer managers. They spent, I want to say it was 3 months with the guys. And it was really just one consultant. I paid him, I want to say 25 grand to spend 3 months with them. And he trained them on how to manage teams, how to conduct meetings with them, what KPIs to look out for, and how to coach people up. And the guys really got a lot out of it and have crushed it ever since.
So I want to revisit because it sounds like you did this, but you said last year you made a decision to do this. Was there anything specific within your business that was like, okay, this is what we need to do moving forward, or what made you come to that conclusion?
I don't know if there was anything specific, but it's kind of like business 101. If you want to scale, if you need to scale, you can't do it on your own. And that's just the concept everybody in business knows. And I was at a point where I wanted to scale, and I knew the only way to do it was to start building a team.
Did you feel like you had kind of like hit the peak by yourself and you were wearing too many hats?
I wouldn't say I was wearing too many hats, but everybody was directing questions at me from every team. And I didn't think that was the best use of my time, almost. That was probably the only annoyance of it. I could have totally handled it. I could have probably handled more, to be honest with you, on my own if I wanted to. But the key to scaling is you got to find some help. And that was really it.
Yeah. So better use of your time. I'm curious. So if you're essentially this linchpin that everyone's coming to you, what is a better use of your time instead of that role? What are you doing now?
I focus my time strictly on the managers and the financials of the book. So if I'm talking to staff, it's those 2 guys and then my service manager, 99% of the time, helping them with their job because I've done their job, right? I've managed teams. So I'm helping them with their job and then just watching the financials, the trend of of the agency, what lead sources are working, what's not working, what is our cost of acquisition, like running those numbers top level. That's primarily what I do. And to be honest, it's not a 40-hour a week job to do that, but that was the goal. That's the goal of business. I kicked my own butt for years and years and worked 85 hours a week,
Mhm.
So I wanted to get to a point where this is exactly what I'm doing. So now that I've got more time, I've taken on another business, which is flipping houses. And I'm about a year and a half into that business. And I'm going to do the same thing eventually there too. Right now it's just me and a business partner, but we're already thinking about how can we build a team beneath us to do what we've been doing.
Gosh, I love this so much because it's diversifying and it's using the same set of skills. It's like
Right.
what you're doing in agency, you can just replicate in all of these other businesses. So I'm curious because when you get to this position in your business, who are you looking to as somebody to bounce ideas off of? So when you're looking at trends, because Michael and I have each other and then we have our COO that we go to and we're all very different people. So do you have a group or is this your management or what does that look like? Who are you bouncing
Yeah.
ideas off of?
It's the law of exposure, right? It's one of the universal laws. Who can you get around? Because once you're exposed to those ideas, you're going to be like, shoot, I can do those too. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what I do. I have a group of friends, other business owners, and the vast majority of them are insurance agents as well, but big boy agents, bigger than me. Um, and that's who I want to be around because if they can do it, I know I can do it. And so I'm getting ideas from them and implementing those ideas from them. So it's usually big boy guys. And there's a couple of them. I think Andrew Pilar, you've interviewed
Mhm.
him.
Oh
Yeah.
He's an awesome one. I love his ideas. And then Matt Devine. I don't know if you've ever
Mhm.
heard of him or talked to him. He's a great
I like it.
businessman. I like him a lot.
I want to go back real fast to scaling because I'm a recovering control monster myself.
I like how you were like, I'm a control. Wait, I'm in recovery right now.
And so it still pops up every now and then. All right. So I want to know, like, is there anything, not that you have a control monster, but typically I see type A entrepreneur personalities that when you go to scale, there's certain things that you're going to have to work through as an individual to release. And so I would love to know, like, during this process, is there anything that's come up that you've had to work through or let go of, or really be like, oh shit, I'm the one that's in the way of having more success within my business?
Well, I was the one that was in the way, and it wasn't really like it wasn't hurting us so much, but I just knew that I'd be the one in the way of growing because everybody was coming to me and how much time am I going to have left to answer everybody's questions, then train everybody, then check up on their activity. One guy can't do that for a team of 20 people and we're bigger than that now. So it was just something, like you said, I knew I'd have to get out of the way. But I'd listened to a book. I can't remember the name of it right now. I can find it on my phone, but it was about, it was written by a woman who was like a chief executive at Netflix and how Netflix started blowing up. She was there from the beginning on up. And she really just talked about, you got to give your team more credit. They can do it. They're smart people. Why did you hire them? They're smart. Let them do it. Just back up. You'll have, once a couple of them kind of crush what you ask them to do, you just start saying, okay, it's true. Like people can do this. And I started entrusting people to do it and no one let me down. That it's like the longer the rope I've given them, the better they've done. You know how they used to say, you give them a long rope, they'll hang
Yeah.
themselves? Bullshit. People can do a good job. You just got to give them the chance.
Oh, I completely agree. But it's so
Agreed.
hard, especially most entrepreneurs, most agency owners want to have control. They want to do it because we think we can do it the best. We can do it the fastest. We know it's just easier for us to do it. So what did you not delegate?
I still check my emails every day just to see if any of them are for me directly. Otherwise, they're getting sent off to everybody else. So I didn't fully delegate my email checking. That's still there. I still run payroll, make sure all the numbers check out before I hit the process payment button. But almost everything else I've delegated. My guys track how good the leads are doing. What trend are we having with one vendor versus another? What trend are we having with one of our staff versus who's the strongest at mail, who's the strongest at web leads, who's the strongest, and like we're moving them around. Like these guys are doing everything that I used to do. So yeah, I'm not doing any of the crazy day-to-day stuff that I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, let's pretend like you're starting a brand new agency today.
Okay.
All right, brand new today, 2024, going into 2025. Is there anything that you would do today that you may not have done as a first year, second year, third year agent learning? So how would you start a business today? Anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I would change a couple things. So it took me until about my third year to really get in gear. Part of it was I just couldn't find a good staff member sales wise. Cause here I was every day working, selling 50 to 70 policies a month on my own. And when I brought somebody on, if they didn't do that in the first month or two, I would fire them. And that was wrong. I can think of at least one or two guys I should have given a longer chance because they would have turned out great. But I didn't know that it took 3-4 months to really figure it out, especially if you didn't come from insurance experience. So I'd be a lot more patient with my new hires than I was. And I'd spend more money on marketing sooner than I did. So, I quit a high paying corporate job, to come into insurance. And I was lucky if I made like 35 or 45 grand that first year. But I needed every dollar of that. Right. But I wish I could have been even more broke that first year and just invested in more marketing. Cause once we figured out marketing and what lead sources really worked, and I started tracking cost of acquisition, cost of marketing, like, is the ROI there? Then I was like, okay, I just need to pour more money into what's working. And I started doing that. And every time I got more and more renewals, I would just pour the money back. In the very beginning, I wasn't as liberal with my spending as I could have been, bigger, faster if I'd have done that.
I don't know if I've ever had anyone say, I wish I was more broke in the beginning.
Yeah.
I like that hit me. I was like, God, I remember going to 4 grocery stores trying to clip coupon. I don't know, Kory. It was pretty broke in the beginning. Okay. So we have had you on the buzz before, and we have talked about marketing and feeding the team and marketing leads. Has anything changed? What is your current focus from a marketing standpoint? If I were to give you, let me phrase it like this. If I were to give you $100,000 for marketing, what would you spend it on?
I'd spend half of it on mail and the other half on internet leads.
Direct mail? You would spend $50,000 on direct mail.
I spend more than that every month right now.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. You would do 50. Okay. What kind of internet leads?
I've never been the one to do live call transfers. We have really yet to crack the code on making that work for my office. Just the cost of acquisition is higher on live call transfers, in my experience, than just buying data leads. But what I try to do differently with data leads is I'm only working with vendors who have search data. So that means somebody went online, they strictly asked for a quote or searched to speak with someone. So the intent is much higher than they filled out a form on Facebook and just somewhere in the fine print it says someone's going to contact you. Like, yes, you can buy those leads for $1 a piece or whatever it is, but you got to call thousands of them to get the same intent of the data leads. So I spend all my money on the data leads, and we get that from Quote Wizard, from Smart Financial, from Datalot at the moment. There's been other vendors that have come and gone. They can give you decent data as well. But so my staff, they get about 8 to 12 data leads a day, plus whatever mail calls we get, which is anywhere from 10 to 12 calls a day, just total for the office. And And so they're working 8 to 12 data leads a day. They're quoting those people, emailing, texting the quotes, calling those people. But the intent is higher. So people are picking up the calls, they're replying to your emails, they're replying to your texts. So our close rate on the high filtered, high intent data is anywhere between like 12 and 18% close rates.
That's really great for an internet lead.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay.
But the cost for the lead is like 26 or 27.50 now. I want to say, per lead.
And you're doing 10 to 12 per person a day.
Yeah.
A day.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about your mail. Who are we targeting and what are we saying on this?
It's changing almost every single month. At least who we're targeting is changing slightly. What we're saying has been pretty much the same for the last couple of years. So targeting is what's your best strike zone? Like Allstate doesn't want super old houses. They also don't want super old drivers or super young drivers. So if we're mailing we're leading with home on all of our mail, but we're also quoting auto 99% of the time. So we're thinking about that when we're sending our mail. If someone calls in and they're 82 years old, like Allstate's just going to price themselves out of it. So we don't mail a certain age group. We also Allstate is highly reliant on credit score. IS score is what it's called for us, but credit-based rating. So I don't mail certain zip codes who have relatively poor income or whatever. And my software Sales Genie, Axel, has all this data. So I filter it based on zip code, which zip codes supposedly have the highest income. I filter it by age, and also by the value of the home. So I don't mail any houses under 300K in value. And that's just because I know when those people do call in, it's going to be Allstate's strike zone. Because I don't want to spend however much I spend on mail just to get it disqualified. Yeah.
You're targeting ideal clients.
Yeah, it's your ideal customer.
That's all it is.
Oh, yeah. It's like, how much do they make? Where do they live? How many toys do they have?
This is so good because so many times I talk.
Oh my God.
And I used to be the same way where we want to insure
Everybody.
It's like,
I wish we could.
no, you don't want to insure everybody.
No.
So ideal clients. All right, I have to ask you because we tried direct mail our first year as agents and it sucked, man. Like lost every penny we put into it. So who are you using as a vendor for the direct mail?
So if a lot of people say that about mail, I have had the exact opposite experience, but the reason I did is because my message in my mail is not the canned stuff the corporate tells you to send.
Yep.
Because that just, I might have said this on the first time we were on, but this book called No BS Guide to Direct Marketing by Dan Kennedy. I listened to that, and that's what prompted me to try mail in the first place. And in there, it ultimately says, you're not Geico, right? You're not State Farm. Your message can't be, hey, we're here when you think of us. It's got to be direct. You're a small business. You need that client to directly interact with you. So your message has to be in their face. And that's what I've done. I've tweaked the letter multiple times, but it's basically saying you're overpaying for home insurance. Allstate saves you on average $1,000 a year. What can you do with this $1,000? Call me, text me, email me. Then I'll put together, this is how much it would possibly cost with certain assumptions. Call me, text me, email me. So it's asking for a response 6 times on one page. What's in it for them? And then it's in an envelope. And the envelope doesn't say Allstate on it, doesn't say the Rykman agency. It's a blank envelope and it looks handwritten, but it's printed on there. So it's enough to fake most people out to at least open it. Once you open it, you got 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds to get their attention. Now, what does your letter say? And that's where the direct message comes in.
Hell yeah.
What's in it for them? That's marketing 101 though. So many times I see posts or even direct mail where it's all about what they're trying to get. And it's like, no, you have to speak to me and my problems and what I
Yeah.
am going through.
And it can't be the corporate bullshit like you said.
No, because corporate has their own brand and they're
And they
going to
have
do
like
just
lawyers
fine.
and all these other people that just soften it. They're not salespeople. And
Yep.
you're a small guy, you gotta be as direct as possible.
Yeah, go after what you want.
And by being direct, you're speaking directly to that person and their pain point and the ideal client. And that's how you convert. When you talk to somebody and they feel like you're talking to them, that's how you convert prospects into clients.
100%.
Okay, I want a rapid fire question you. I've never done this before.
Let's go. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I've never done this before, but I was thinking about it, like how quickly you can pop off an answer. So I'm like, all right, Kory, you're up. First time. Okay, so if you had to start over today, who would be your first hire?
Ryan Doy, he works for me right now.
Ryan!
Yeah,
What
what's up,
role is
Ryan?
that? Sales? Is that sales?
Yeah, he's one of the managers now. He and I have gotten along really well. I trust him with the entire business.
Okay, so your first hire would be a salesperson.
For sure, it would be a salesperson.
Okay, no question. Okay, do we pay a base plus commission or are we commission only?
Bates every time plus commission.
Okay. Do you specialize or do you do the generalist model? Meaning, are you having people focused on one product line or are they a combo?
Product line, they do home and auto and boat and motorcycle, but not life. So my salespeople focus strictly on home and auto, basically, and then specialize yet again because salespeople aren't doing service. I've got a team for service.
Okay. What product line would you focus on first if you were to start over right now?
That I wouldn't change. I'd stick with leading with home.
Okay. And you kind of already answered this, but I'm going to give it to you again. If I were to give you $10,000 on your first day of agency, what would you spend it on?
Mail and leads.
Thank you so much for coming to this hot seat. Da, 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 da.
Let's go.
Yeah. You do such a great job, Kory, of just like rapid fire. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to come up with the questions that I want to ask here and do it. Thank you for being a part of the first ever hot seat on the insurance bus.
All right. I can handle more.
I know. It's like, gosh. Yeah. Sorry, I threw you
Nope,
off.
this
with
is
the-
good.
with
So
the
let
hot-
me, no.
hot seat.
That's really great. I got one more question. We'll wrap this. So you guys produce life, but I know you're sending it to your life specialist team. Okay. So I get that. So you have a sales team and then you have a service team. Does your service team, are they responsible for pivots and generating revenue? So like an inside sales team is what I would ask.
Not as much as I think we could improve there. I know some other agents whose service team generates quite a bit of policies and cross sells and stuff for them. I don't make that a focus. In fact, their focus is retention, and we've got excellent retention. It's almost 92%, compared to a lot of other Allstate agents. That's pretty high.
Wait, did you just say 92%?
Not quite, but it's knocking on the door of it.
Okay. And I want you to also brag here for a second. 92% retention rate. And how many policies do you write a month?
We did like 650 policies last month.
Let's go. All
But
right.
here's part of the reason. One of it is we lead with home. So people that buy home insurance aren't switching as frequently as just auto shoppers every 6 months that don't own a house and they're renting and they're moving all the time. The premium may be higher on auto. The renewals more often and stuff like that. But home is probably the number one reason that the business is sticky. The other reason is it was expensive leads. We spent a lot of money on mail and a lot of money on high intent, data leads. So those people were seeking us. Instead of me cold calling somebody and disrupting what they were doing in hopes for them to switch, they stopped what they were doing to call us. So I'd like to think that's the main reason. And then obviously my service team, the number one thing we ask them to do is just be awesome. The Chick-fil-A method, like be as nice as you can to these clients. Your job is to help them. Your job is to make them do business with us easier. And they've got like Southern accent, type personalities.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that
Southern charm, baby.
I will turn that on anytime I need anything. I have this fake Southern accent. I absolutely. Okay, so how are you measuring that? Like, let's quantify that though. Like, what does being
Be
awesome
awesome.
or
Yep.
Chick-fil-A look like for them?
We don't quantify it, to be honest with you. The only metric we watch is retention. Is it trending up or down? Is there a big change? The reviews that we're getting, maybe, are there any crappy reviews versus how many good reviews we get? There's customers that email me and Lindsay telling us how awesome one of the team members was doing. So we just see that sort of stuff and we see the trend, and we just focus on, whenever we talk to them, like, literally treat these people the way you want to be treated. When you call a 1-800 number or wherever, how awesome is it when somebody's just helping you? And you feel good about the conversation. That's exactly what we just try to ask them to do.
I love that, because right now we were actually having this conversation not too long ago about how it doesn't take that much more effort to be exceptional. And right now, if you are anywhere shopping for anything, it doesn't take much because customer service is lacking. So just to go that extra step, it's like, wow, you don't have to do much to be killer.
Which makes sense why you guys are winning and then holding on to the business, because if they've never had an experience like that from an insurance provider, which they probably haven't, you guys are automatically setting the bar so high to where it's like, not only are you targeting ideal clients, and I'm going to revisit this here in a second, but you're targeting your ideal clients. They have the assets. They don't want to shop. I don't think anybody likes shopping for insurance in the first place. So if you're not giving them a reason to shop and you are creating that wow, awesome experience, every time you talk to them, they have an experience with you, man, that is amazing. And that is one of the best pieces of advice while you haven't quantitated, you're focused on retention, which is great, and you're focused on that rate. You're focused on Google reviews. I don't know if there's a lot that you can actually, unless you wanted to implement like a grade card that you sent to clients. I just don't know what else you can focus on besides those two things, really.
Yeah, I think you're paying attention to what you want there with the retention.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you're tracking the lag measure, which is retention. But retention comes out, those numbers come out every single month. So we can see if they dropped dramatically for any reason. If I see a lot more customers leave, because I do get those emails. And as long as you haven't seen anything crazy, then you just focus on what you can do, what you can change. And that's how nice you treat people. How easily are you trying to help them? Because that's, like you just said, Michael, how many people have called a 1-800 number or any customer service place and got crap service? It's almost the norm, really. So,
oh my God, I have a whole life policy that my parents took out on me when I was a baby, and I would shout him out, but I guarantee you he's not listening to this because it's been 8 months since he's returned my phone call about the questions that I have. And it's like, man, it's not that hard to follow up, get the question answered.
Be nice. Like, actually be thankful for someone's business.
agree.
So what made you, this is kind of off topic, but I know a lot of our listeners out here are wanting to do other things outside of insurance in addition to their insurance agency. So what made you go the real estate route?
And my whole life, I've loved real estate. I've taken interest in it and kind of self-educated myself on it. So when I started making a little bit of money, instead of just paying myself and doing dumb stuff, which I've done some of that, like bought dumb things, but I knew that you have to get your money working for you. So I began buying rental properties, long-term rentals, single family homes, mostly, just because you could put 20% down, which cost me 20, 30 grand or whatever it was. And then for the next 30 years, somebody else is paying off the mortgage. So the cash on cash return is going to be awesome by the time somebody pays that down for me. So I just slowly started doing that. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to keep buying more properties, or eventually might want to sell one of these, let me just get licensed so I don't have to give somebody else commission. I can handle it myself. So I just got licensed. And the story about how I got into flipping is my very first hire in insurance, Jeremy Rice. I hired him as a junior in college. He did marketing for me. He would knock on realtors and lenders' doors, bring them donuts, that whole thing, which I don't advise doing anymore, by the way. Just buy the leads directly. But that's what I hired him to do. And he was awesome. And he always had an interest in real estate. So he and I would talk about the rentals and the future of real estate. And so when he graduated, he interviewed at some places, and ultimately I gave him the best offer to come to me as a salesperson. So he got insurance licensed and began selling for us and he worked as a salesperson for like 3.5 years, did great. And then he quit to go to work for a place. Have you heard of like We Buy Ugly Houses?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
not that company, but one just like it. So he quit to go do that. Did $1 million in profit for them in 6 months, learned the game. But they weren't paying him what he thought he deserved on that $1 million in profit. So we stayed in touch the whole time. He called me one day. He's like, hey, what if I want to come back to insurance? I'm like, well, why would you want to do that? And we just got to talking. I was like, let's do this, dude. Let's start a business. I'm getting licensed in a week from now. I can put up some cash. You know how to find the deals, and I can offload the deals. And we just came together and hit the ground running.
That's freaking awesome. And that was your first hire?
My very first hire, 17-year-old kid.
So
No, he
actually,
wasn't 17. I'm sorry. He was a junior in college.
okay, so we're going to go back to our rapid fire questions. And Ryan was who you said originally, but actually it's going to be Jeremy. Jeremy gets actually gets to be hired first. So this story plays out.
Oh, man.
Okay, so there's a lot going on, and I want to end how we end a lot of our episodes. What is the piece of advice that you would give to agents or producers that are navigating this market right now?
You can always work harder, first of all. I think that's something everybody plays on their phone, takes some time to do this and that. If you keep track of the time you waste messing around, you can be way more productive. So that's the first piece of advice kind of for everyone in general. And I'm still guilty of it. But really, I've had this question asked and I haven't found a better answer. So I'm going to say it again. Just go for broke. Spend more money on marketing and on staff. Be broke longer, like I said earlier. That's the best piece of advice, because that's what I'm doing now. That's what I've done for years, is like I'm spending nearly every dollar every single month on this business, but then you get it back and then some the next month. Just reinvest it, because it's going to come back.
Okay. So, because I know you're super transparent about this, so you're writing 650, 700 policies a month. How much are you currently spending on marketing a month?
It's anywhere between 90 and 110, 115,000 a month.
Perfect. Thank you for saying that, because I know some people right now are like, how the hell does he do 700 policies a month? And it takes money, marketing spend, to generate leads to write that many policies. And
yeah, that was the leap of faith you have to take. You know, I was hoarding the very little money I was making in the beginning because I was still figuring it out. But once it clicked and you start tracking, this is probably the most important part of the business, is you got to know exactly what your ROI is on your marketing. Exactly, down to the penny. I can tell you what I spent with one vendor versus another vendor and what my cost of acquisition for that policy was. And if the math makes sense, then you do it again and double down the following month. And a lot of the people are like, oh, great, I made a little profit with this vendor this month. I'm the opposite. Great, I made a profit. Well, that's just going right back to increasing the volume next month.
Money in, money out, baby. And you also have you've said something multiple times throughout this is, hey, I focus on homeowners. I focus on homeowners. I focus on homeowners. And old saying that an old agent told me when I very first got into this business is auto is for show. Fire is to retire. Focus on that fire insurance. You'll never have to worry about money a day in your agency. And I'm like, hell yeah, brother.
You would say that every day.
Because it's so true. It is true. Like
Fire to retire, baby.
I mean, yeah, I think if I spent the same money to go after auto policies, I could almost double my production, because there's a lot more auto shoppers out there, a lot easier to win those deals, but the retention is going to be a lot lower. The service probably on those is going to be higher, because who the hell knows what people are like. Autos changing every 6 months. Every 6 months, there's a rate increase. Doesn't matter who you're with. It's trending up. So it's just going to be more service. You could definitely double your growth, but those customers aren't the ones that stick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And premium is what pays, baby. So, and homeowners are easier to multi-line than just like single car shoppers. Like no matter how, like they just are. They're easier to multi-line.
That's one of my filters in the mail is no single people. Now, I'm sure there's plenty of single dudes and gals out here that own houses, but one of the filters is married. Just because I know it's coming with 2, 3, 4 cars sometimes.
Yep. Yeah, brother. Man, this has been great. If somebody wanted to, because you do an amazing job on socials of just letting people into your life, know what's going on in your real estate business. You're very inspiring. If somebody wanted to watch you, follow you, connect with you, what's the best way to do that, Kory?
Insta, probably. It's Kory McFly from,
Marty McFly?
Marty McFly.
Yeah, nice. Get in the DeLorean, baby.
Yep. And then, because I'm the flyest, right? That's what I like to say. I'm just kidding. And then on Instagram is Kory Rykman, RYK man. And I got a couple videos on YouTube about playing with cars and reviewing cars that I'm just having fun with.
Hell yeah, man.
I love that. So good. This has been such a great episode. Kory, thank you again for being a part of the first ever rapid fire hot seat on the Insurance Buzz.
You're welcome.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for your time. For all of those of you that are tuning in today, you have to have a takeaway today. So text us 816-727-7610. What is your best takeaway that you're running and implementing right now? Other than that, as always, time and attention are by far our most important assets. They are your most important assets, and we appreciate you tuning in with us today on The Buzz. Make it great.